Hello and welcome to the 100-day art challenge. In this series I have been doing lots of installments. We're using different mediums each time, not for every video, but I do little kind of sessions of mediums. And so I did one where it was oil pastels, and I do a lot of portraiture, and then I do soft pastels, and I was doing landscapes, and now I'm doing oil painting and a lot of still life studies, and they're just sketches. And this angle over my shoulder is a little bit awkward, and I've mentioned this in the previous video, is that after this video I start doing a lot more of the camera angle where you can look straight down at the piece that I'm painting, because as much as I'm trying to hold the board up so that you can see what I'm doing, it's still obscured by my hand because I'm right-handed, and also because it's slightly cut off from the camera frame. So apologies for that. I was trying to make it more comfortable for me to paint, and sometimes putting the camera a little bit further back and away from me makes it more comfortable, but it doesn't aid the video because you just can't see what I'm doing there. But I'm basically just doing a lot of the darker shadow shapes, and this is how I always do these oil paintings, is to get in all the darker colours first, and then from that I mix in the midtones and lights. And that's what I really enjoy about the process of oil painting, is the way that works. So anyway, after this awkward camera angle here, we can now mercifully switch over to a lot more of an enjoyable camera angle where you'll be able to see the process of me painting and developing this bowl of cherries which I have on that little box. So you can see there, that's how far I've got. It's a lot of the darker shadow shapes, and you can see vague cherry shapes at the bottom, but I've certainly not counted or measured any of those cherries. I've just got a vague coverage, and I remember looking, thinking I'm not going to go too particular with any of the actual cherries in the bowl. I just wanted to get a general coverage where the negative space around them was more accurate. So now I'm just applying the lighter colour to the edge of the bowl, but it's a bit of a push and pull. It goes back and forth because it's only partly lit and it's a lot of in shadow. Not that it's a perfect rendition of what I was looking at, but I was trying to utilise some of the darker tones that you can push with oil painting, and you get some interesting colour mixes as well when you start doing the kind of bowl of cherries, because it's a blue colour, but then with the shadows you're trying to get something which is a bit more moody and wondering what the shadow tone could describe, or what colour could describe the shadows, I should say. And then here is where I'm trying to now describe the cherries using this mid-tone, and it may look like it's light, but that's actually a bit more of a mid-tone, because that's the light, is the white on top of it. So that's what I'm trying to do, to then isolate shapes of cherries and pick them out. And I quite enjoyed it because it's really difficult. I think this is probably the hardest still life painting that I did from the series, was the cherries, because it was so many small shapes that I was trying to then protect throughout the process, because I didn't want to lose too much, because it becomes very vague when it's so much of a dark shadowy shape. So I was trying to make sure that the lighter areas, whether it's the light mid-tone or the touches of light, were preserved in order to show the shape, the form of the cherries, and make sure that it was starting to take shape and create this form inside of the bowl, so that it looked as though it was a legitimate still life, and that you could see the organic shapes inside of this ceramic bowl. And I enjoyed it. It's always an enjoyable challenge, but it is always a challenge. It's never a simple painting. I say that there is one painting which I do think is fairly simple, and I'll be doing a couple of real-time painting videos soon, because this is obviously a time-lapse where I've sped up the footage, and I do that quite often because the painting process can take quite a while. But there are a couple coming up soon where I just speed through them, and it was really enjoyable because I wasn't taking shortcuts either. It was just seemed to be a lot easier than doing something like this, which took a lot more thought. Now, when you'll notice that when you paint in a background, it really changes the whole dynamic of the painting, and leaving in the orange is it just makes a massive difference to the painting. So if you can remove all of that, it changes and makes it a lot more restful colours and tones for your eyes to enjoy. And there is part of that in a future painting as well, where I leave in the orange and it is to the detriment of the piece in my view. But yeah, I've got in the nice shadow there. It's blended quite nicely with the bowl, I think, but it has taken out the edge of the bowl, so I'm going to have to mix again this darker blue to get in the edge of the bowl and try and describe this without it mixing too much with the shadow or the background edge on the sides there. So it's always a bit of a push and pull when it comes to these still life paintings and using oil paint, you know, because you push it in one direction and it goes too far, so you have to pull it back a little bit and make sure that you're getting it to a place where you're happy and you feel like it's describing something which is relatively accurate but still stylized to your preference. And this isn't a massive artistic liberty taking piece which I've done, but it's still a piece which I make several decisions which won't be true to reality because I want to make it something which serves the painting. And I can't isolate exactly what those are at the moment, but I know that that happens throughout every painting. You'll always make decisions and think, I know that in reality it's this, but for the painting I'm going to make it that instead. And a lot of these paintings I am going to return to in the near future and finish off, because I've just left them as a sketch, because if you have to start and finish a painting in a day, sometimes you're not completely satisfied with it as a finished painting, but as an upload for the challenge I'm satisfied that it's good enough to show there. Now this was a tricky part of the painting as well, is to try and get stalks. There were stalks with the cherries, to try and get them thin enough and to not disrupt anything else beneath them was tricky, but I think just a few touches for the stalks added that contrast between the rounded shapes of the cherries and the little stick-like stalks crossing around them, which I think is it works fine enough. I think if I could change anything, I think I'd change the colour of the stalks slightly, just to see if another colour worked better, maybe something slightly greener. But as it is, that's the painting that I've done. I really enjoyed making the painting. I appreciate you watching the video. There's lots more to come and they do change up. They're not all still life. So thanks for watching and I will see you tomorrow.